If you wrote this in a movie script, Hollywood would reject it for being too unrealistic. On one side, you have the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, a man who speaks the language of fire and fury, commanding the most lethal military machine in human history. He has just ordered the Fourth Fleet to turn its cannons toward the Caribbean coast. His finger is hovering over the trigger. On the other side, you have Nicolás Maduro, the bus driver turned president, the man who has survived coups, assassination attempts via drone, and hyperinflation that forced his people to pay for bread with wheelbarrows of cash. How does he respond to the threat of American annihilation? Does he mobilize the tanks? Does he dig trenches? No. He goes on national television, grabs a microphone, and starts to dance. Welcome to the strangest standoff of the 21st century. This is not the Cuban Missile Crisis. This is the Caribbean Salsa Crisis. It is a terrifying mix of geopolitical brinkmanship and reality TV. And while the world laughs at the absurdity, the missiles loaded on those ships are very, very real. Tonight, we take you inside the madness. We explore how a dispute over a jungle region called Essequibo brought the superpowers to the edge, and why one man decided to fight a superpower with a playlist. To understand the dancing, we must first understand the danger. Why is Donald Trump suddenly interested in a patch of rainforest the size of Florida? The answer, as always, is buried underground. For a century, the Essequibo region was just trees and rivers, disputed on old colonial maps between Venezuela and Guyana. But in 2015, everything changed. ExxonMobil, an American giant, found oil off the coast. Not just a little oil, oceans of it. Guyana, a tiny nation of 800,000 people, suddenly became the owner of one of the world's largest crude reserves per capita. Fast forward to late 2025. Venezuela's economy is still in ruins. Maduro needs a distraction. He needs a win. So he dusts off an old map and tells his starving population, "That oil belongs to us. The imperialists stole it." He holds a referendum, annexes the region on paper, and threatens to send in troops. This is where Donald Trump enters the chat. Trump sees two things: a threat to an American company, Exxon, an opportunity to look strong against a socialist dictator whom he despises. Trump's ultimatum was delivered via Truth Social at 3 a.m. Maduro is a thief. He is trying to steal Guyana. I am sending the Navy to protect our friends and our oil. Withdraw or face the consequences. The message was clear. The Monroe Doctrine was back. The Caribbean was an American lake, and there was a shark in the water. The world held its breath. The Pentagon went to DEFCON 3. CNN and Fox News launched breaking news coverage. War imminent? And then, the signal from Caracas went live. Venezolana de Televisión, VTV, interrupted its programming. The screen flickered. It wasn't a bunker. It wasn't a war room full of generals pointing at maps. It was a brightly lit studio with a tropical set design. A full salsa band, trumpets, congas, piano, started playing a fast-paced, joyous rhythm. Nicolás Maduro walked out, not in a military uniform, but in a casual guayabera shirt. He was smiling. He grabbed his wife, Celia Flores, and began to dance. He spun her around. He clapped his hands. He looked directly into the camera lens, knowing that CIA analysts in Langley and military aides in the Oval Office were watching. And then, the speech. "Mr. Trump," Maduro said, wiping sweat from his forehead, contrasting his relaxed demeanor with Trump's aggression. You send ships? We send music. You want war? We want the party of peace. Look at us. We are not afraid. You are the grumpy old man of the North. Here, we have the rhythm of history. It was a master class in psychological asymmetry. By refusing to act terrified, by refusing to wear the uniform of war, Maduro was denying Trump the visual he wanted. Trump wanted a scared dictator. He got a salsa dancer. It was a calculated insult. It was Maduro saying, "Your threats are so empty, I have time to cha-cha." But mockery has a price, and Donald Trump is not known for his sense of humor when he is the punchline. In Washington, the reaction was volcanic. Sources inside the White House reported that the president saw the dance not as a de-escalation, but as a personal humiliation. "He thinks this is a joke?" Trump reportedly yelled at his national security advisor. "Show him the tomahawks!" This is where the comedy ends and the horror begins. Because a humiliated superpower is a dangerous beast. Within 24 hours of the salsa broadcast, the rhetoric shifted from diplomatic warning to active military preparation. The U.S. Southern Command, SOUTHCOM, announced joint freedom exercises with the Guyanese military. But these weren't exercises. Live ammunition was distributed. The USS Wasp, an amphibious assault ship, parked itself just outside Venezuela's territorial waters. Its radar locked on to the Venezuelan coastline. Maduro had to pivot. The music stopped. The next day, the visuals changed. We saw tanks moving toward the Brazilian border. We saw Venezuelan Sukhoi 30 fighter jets, purchased from Russia, doing low flybys over the Essequibo River. The salsa strategy was a facade. Behind the curtain, Maduro was mobilizing the militia. This creates the curiosity gap. Was the dance a way to buy time? Or was it a signal to his true allies? Because in the shadows, Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping were watching. For Russia, a conflict in America's backyard is a dream come true. While the U.S. is distracted in Ukraine or the Middle East, opening a new front in the Caribbean stretches American power thin. Intelligence reports leaked to the press suggested that Wagner Group mercenaries were spotted near the gold mines of Bolivar State, advising the Venezuelan army. Suddenly, this wasn't just Trump versus Maduro, it was West versus East, played out on a tropical stage. Why does Maduro survive? This is the question that has plagued 3 U.S. presidents. Obama sanctioned him. Trump tried to oust him with Juan Guaido. Biden tried to negotiate. Nothing worked. Maduro's strength lies in his tropical absurdism. He knows that the Western mind craves logic. The West expects a frantic, desperate leader when threatened. By acting irrational, by eating an empanada on live TV while his country starves, or dancing salsa while aircraft carriers approach, he short-circuits the logic of his enemies. It creates a reality gap. Trump says, "I will destroy you." Maduro says, "Merry Christmas, let's dance." It makes the aggressor look like a bully attacking a clown. And, in the theater of global opinion, especially in the global South, the clown is often more sympathetic than the bully. However, Trump is also a master of media. He recognized the game. His response wasn't just military, it was theatrical. He started calling Maduro Disco Nico. He turned the conflict into a personalized feud, a WWE storyline. The dangers that both men are trapped in their own personas. Trump cannot back down without looking weak. Maduro cannot back down without looking like a puppet of imperialism. When two egos this size collide, usually innocent people get crushed. Let's descend from the presidential palaces to the muddy streets of Georgetown, Guyana. For the people here, this isn't a joke. It's an existential threat. "We are a small country," says a fisherman on the Essequibo River. "If Venezuela comes, we have no army to stop them. We only have the Americans, and if the Americans come, our home becomes a battlefield." In Caracas, the mood is different. It's cynical. People are queuing for gasoline while watching their president dance. "It's a circus," says a student at the Central University. "Maduro dances to distract us from the empty fridge. Trump threatens us to distract his voters. We're just the extras in their movie." The tragedy of the situation is the disconnect. The missiles are real. The hunger is real. But the leadership treats it like content for social media. We cannot forget the oil, the black gold. ExxonMobil isn't just a company. It's a state within a state. They have lobbied Washington aggressively. The message to Trump was, if Venezuela takes Essequibo, they control the global oil price. They can blackmail the West. This adds a layer of economic desperation to the military posturing. Trump's America First policy requires cheap energy. If Maduro controls the tap, he controls the inflation rate in the U.S. So the U.S. Navy isn't just protecting Guyana's sovereignty. It is protecting the price of a gallon of gas in Ohio. And Maduro knows this. He is dancing on top of a barrel of gunpowder, holding a lighter, daring Trump to shoot. As we speak, the situation remains on a knife edge. Yesterday, a Venezuelan patrol boat accidentally crossed into waters claimed by Guyana, just 5 miles from a U.S. destroyer. Did the U.S. fire back? Not yet. They issued a final warning. But consider this scenario. A rogue commander, high on nationalist rhetoric, or perhaps instructed by a foreign advisor, fires a missile. Or a U.S. drone is shot down over the jungle. The music stops instantly. The salsa is replaced by air raid sirens. Maduro's gamble is that Trump won't start a new war before an election. Trump's gamble is that Maduro is all bluff. But history is littered with wars that started because one side thought the other was bluffing. In the end, this crisis in the Caribbean is a mirror of our times. We live in an era where politics has merged with entertainment, where a declaration of war is a tweet and the response is a dance move. But behind the memes and the mockery, the mechanics of destruction are grinding into gear. Will the history books record this as the salsa war, or will they not record it at all, because there will be no one left to write them? Nicolás Maduro is still dancing, Donald Trump is still tweeting, and the rest of us are watching the screen, waiting to see if the show ends with applause or an explosion. Don't change the channel. The season finale is approaching.